Before we do that, we got love-hate for you. Yes, it is love-hate, and as we always do, we kick it off with the big-time running backs here, and we got to start with Kyren Williams making the love list. And listen, Kyren Williams might be coming off a bye week, but the work didn't stop for the Rams star running back. Take a listen.
I'm not using this bye week as a bye week. I might go see my sisters and whatnot, but during the week I'm going to continue to keep working. You know, I'm not using this as, oh, we get to kick our feet up and relax. There's no reason to kick our feet up. You know, we're not on autopilot right now. We got to continue to keep going. We got to continue to just keep having that positive energy throughout the building and throughout the team, because we know who we are and we know what we are capable of. So we just got to continue to keep meeting those standards.
Right. The mindset of a fifth-round pick, Matthew.
There you go. Yeah, there's no relaxing. You relax. I'm not going to relax. Yeah, 100%. Kyren Williams is my #1 running back this week. Wow. You heard me. So far this year, he is averaging 21.8 touches per game. That leads all running backs with an 85% snap share. Running backs that have seen at least 13 touches against the Raiders this year, averaging 19.9 fantasy points per game. Every starting running back to face the Raiders has scored at least 15 fantasy points, Jay. And honestly, I just gave you a bunch of stats as to Kyren Williams' usage and how running backs that get a lot of usage against the Raiders do very well. But honestly, I don't think I needed any of that. I could have just said, like, they made Najee Harris look good. Like, Najee Harris looked great against the Raiders last week.
Best game of the season
Catching straight
for him, by far.
Like, scored his first touchdown.
Beautiful touchdown run,
yes,
too, wasn't it? Yeah, he got tackled by 7 different guys, and none of them wanted it.
I'm just saying, like, when you make Najee Harris look good, imagine what Kyren Williams off a bye can do.
Anyone remember Blake Corum, who was the reason why Najee Harris slid in drafts? The thing is he's getting this crazy
Kyren
workload.
Williams slid in drafts.
Sorry. Najee Harris slid in drafts for organic reasons that were proven out to be correct.
Yes.
So Kyren Williams, the fact that he's gotten 65 carries in the past 3 weeks. They keep losing as well.
Yeah.
They're losing games. They're getting blown out in games, and Kyren Williams still gets the workload. Like last year when he was healthy, he was producing at a top 2, top 3 running back, offensive player of the year type of level. I think the Rams are going to get progressively better as well, and they get a super favorable matchup against a team right now that is just broken. There's a few broken teams in the NFL, but the Raiders right now are kind of close to the top of the list. The Browns are top of the list, but the Raiders might be second.
Browns are top of the list. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know what? I mean, hopefully, Tom. I will tell you that, like, if I was buying stock, give me more Raider stock than Brown stock, just because. Listen, Tom Brady wins. I'm dead serious. I'm like, you know, whatever. Like, Tom Brady isn't going to be a minority owner. Tom Brady isn't just going in there to be like, Mark Davis is going to shut up and listen to Tom Brady. I bet you change come to the Raiders.
Yeah.
Just knowing how Tom Brady handles his business in like every other aspect of his life. He is somebody that is incredibly prepared, has an unbelievable team around him. I don't know. I'm just that occurred to me, just as we're just sitting here talking.
Well,
I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
I too will take him in the head-to-head against the Browns.
Yeah.
Right, yes. Yes.
Yes, but they don't have Deshaun Watson or his contract.
It's unbelievable.
A lot of problems over there in Cleveland.
The karma bus.
I mean,
it's hard.
It really is. They may have to. I wonder if the Browns, like, because they're going to just keep with Deshaun and maybe they have the #1 or #2 pick this year. Do you think they say to somebody, they say, look, we will give you the #1 pick in next year's draft and Deshaun Watson if you just take our contract off our books?
I don't think it's enough.
It's not enough.
Yeah, you could even more.
It's a fully guaranteed contract.
It's the worst contract in the history of American sports.
It really is.
By far. Not even close.
Just American sports? You don't think, is there a global?
Latvian sports? No, there's a few contracts handed out in Latvia during the Cold War that were. No, I don't know. I got no idea. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Fair enough. Anyway, sorry, Cleveland. We feel bad for you. We really do. We feel bad. I was having breakfast with a good buddy of mine who's a Browns fan. Seriously, we talked about this for like half the breakfast. He's despondent.
Yeah. Well, Nick Chubb comes back. We'll get some good vibes out of Nick Chubb.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
So Kyren Williams, RB1, we got there somehow. Tony Pollard, Jay, also is a top 10 play. Tajay Spears is week to week with a hamstring injury, which means more volume for Tony Pollard. Buffalo does not look good against running backs right now.
No, and Tony Pollard looks like the guy that he did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He looks the same level of explosiveness. Buffalo fixed Breece Hall for a night anyway. That was the first good game that Breece Hall really had played. They made him look, he didn't look super explosive, but he was able to get yards. And look, this Titans team, their issue is throwing the ball. Running the ball, they've been perfectly fine with Tony Pollard, and the way this Buffalo run defense has struggled, even though the Titans are, 8.5, 9-point dogs, I still think Tony Pollard is must start.
Bills give up the second most fantasy points to opposing running backs. 5 different running backs this year have scored at least 19 fantasy points against the Bills. Again, they've allowed the second most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Do we think Amari Cooper can tackle? Can maybe he play linebacker or something like that? Because the Bills also, by the way, allow the most receiving yards to opposing running backs. Tajay Spears likely not going to play. He's banged up as well. So Pollard, who has a double-digit target share in every game this season, should be used early and often in a great matchup against Buffalo. Top 10 play for me this week.
J.K. Dobbins just misses the top 10, Matthew. He's RB11 against Arizona. We say this every week. Arizona's run defense is struggling. They've allowed them second most rushing yards per game to running backs so far.
Yeah, and teams that face the Cardinals, I think both because of game script and because of the matchup, are averaging 26.7 running back carries against. That's the fourth most in the NFL. So J.K. Dobbins, who last week in the first game with Gus Edwards on IR, got 27 touches. And I think that volume of workload, they like Kamani Vidal. Like, you'll see some of that, but, like, it's going to be all J.K. Dobbins top 12 play for me this week.
Yep, and the thing with J.K. Dobbins too is that with the Chargers, they're going to be favored in the next 4 games. And they're also going to be favored in their final 4 games of the season too. They have a very easy schedule. J.K. Dobbins, the fact that he's getting 25 carries, I think there were concerns that, coming off all the injuries.
Yeah.
Like, J.K. Dobbins is on a 1-year contract. Like, the Chargers are going to use him because he's their best option at the moment. And there's just not that many guys in football who get the volume and just the kind of the unopposed backfield that J.K. Dobbins gets at the moment.
So some others receiving votes here, and obviously the first name is injury dependent with Devon Achane, Ramondre Stevenson as well. So keep an eye on those guys, especially their teammates, notably Raheem Mostert and Jalen Wright if Achane doesn't play, Antonio Gibson if Ramondre Stevenson is out. But obviously you like those matchups, Matthew, against the Colts and Jacksonville.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day. It feels like Miami figured out their run game before the bye. And it's a great matchup against the Colts, who allow the 5th most rush yards per game to opposing running backs. Colts also bottom 10 in terms of most receiving yards allowed to running backs. We've seen Achane evolve more and more in the passing game. And if Achane is not cleared in time, then I do think Mostert and Jalen Wright in that order would be reasonable flex starts against the Colts. Ramondre Stevenson against Jacksonville as well. 4 of the 5 running backs to see at least 15 touches against the Jags this year have scored 18 or more fantasy points. That offense seems like it got a boost with Drake May under center. If Stevenson can't go, yes, I agree with you on Antonio Gibson. And then finally, Kareem Hunt. We don't know yet what Clyde Edwards-Helaire role is going to be. He's been activated by the Chiefs, but I think for 1 week at least, for this week, it should be the Kareem Hunt show for the Chiefs. 76% of the team's running back touches in the 2 games since Kareem Hunt started, including 6 of their 7 red zone touches they've given up as well. Running backs that have seen at least 15 touches against the Niners so far this year, averaging over 18 fantasy points per game. So Kareem Hunt, who's a borderline top 20 play for me this week, I think has at least 1 more week of strong fantasy relevance.
Yeah, and the thing with Kareem Hunt too is going up against the Niners, like there's this perception that the Niners have a really good defense. The Niners do not have a really good defense at the moment. They have 2 really good defensive players, and that's about it. Now, those 2 really good defensive players might be the 2 best defensive players in all of football, in Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, certainly in that discussion, obviously, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, etc. But, like, they just have no defensive tackles left. There's just no one there. This isn't the same defense that it was under DeMeco Ryans, under Robert Saleh. It is a new lineup. They're very injured. No Dre Greenlaw, no Hufanga. Travarius Ward may come back. But this is a team that can be run on, certainly.
That's a great point, Jay. They're just running out of bodies right now, and they are very, very top-heavy. That's why they've been scored on, and they've lost some games that they shouldn't have this year. Move over to the hate list, and we stick with the 49ers.
And by the way, Andy Reid off a bye is like one of the best bets always in football. Andy Reid off a bye is unbelievable.
And a lot of that is his defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, always has a good game plan coming out of the bye as well. And that doesn't bode well for Jordan Mason, who makes the hate list here as RB23, Matthew. And this isn't Jordan Mason specific. Whatever 49ers running back has to play, you don't like the matchup.
If Mason doesn't come back, I would feel the same way. I'd feel even worse about Isaac Rendo or Patrick Taylor. But assuming Jordan Mason is back and getting a full workload, I still don't love him. Outside the top 20, makes the hate list because running backs that have faced the Chiefs this year, look at some of these. Look at some of the guys here. Derrick Henry under 50 yards, J.K. Dobbins under 35, Bijan under 35, Alvin Kamara under 30. No running back has scored more than 13.2 points against Kansas City, and the 4 that I just mentioned, Derrick Henry, J.K. Dobbins, Bijan Robinson, Alvin Kamara, they combined to average 11.4 fantasy points per game. Chiefs allow the second fewest running back rush yards per game. So hard to see Jordan Mason, who may not be 100% healthy, having a big game here as well. You're basically hoping he gets into the end zone.
Yeah, and I think the Chiefs have become something of a pass funnel as well because the rush defense has been so incredible, and then no L'Jarius Sneed anymore to play, shadow man coverage against Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel, and then just the safeties as well with the Chiefs. It's not an amazing situation. Think about how Rashid Shaheed got open deep on Monday Night Football. So yeah, this is a team that is very difficult to run on at the moment.
For his career, out of a bye, Andy Reid straight up 21-4.
That's good. Now, to be fair, Andy Reid has been consistently on great teams, and so these teams, they typically just win, regardless of bye or not. But I agree, there is probably
they're undefeated so far. I understand. None of us think the Chiefs are a great team. They're also
it is hilarious. We did this last year for a long time.
Yeah, they're not good. It's not going to happen. And then you look up and
the confetti is falling down. You're
and
like, oh my
Taylor
God.
Swift is kissing Travis Kelce, and you're like, they just won it again. And so we sit here and say they don't look good. They're 5-0.
Yeah,
they're 5-0 off the bye.
They have a really good defense. They have a great interior offensive line, and they have Patrick Mahomes still. So that's really all that matters. I do think the Niners will win this game, though. They're 1.5-point favorites. I just think as well, 10 days
I say
as well.
the Kansas City Chiefs win this game.
We'll wager dinner.
Done and done.
You know what? You can have 1.5 points too.
Oh,
Whoa.
fantastic.
Yeah, feeling generous.
All right,
you made that comment about me being a good father. You can have 1.5 points.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Me and Rio, we love you.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, come on, Kyle. Figure it out. Figure out Spags for once.
I'm a believer. 21-4. About to be 22-4.
Speaking of a pass funnel, Jay, how about
But most important, cover first, win later. That's the most important rule. Everyone knows.
23-22.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
the Baltimore Ravens defense? This is the best run defense in football, Jay. That does not bode well for the Bucs backfield, both Rashad White and Bucky Irving.
Well, yeah, so these guys are not only going up against the Baltimore rush defense, they're going up against each other and Sean Tucker as well.
Right.
And so Todd Bowles made the comment that, we're going to go with the hot hand. Hot hand are the two worst words for any fantasy manager to hear on planet Earth. So I just don't feel good about any of these guys. This Baltimore pass defense as well quietly hasn't been that great this year, whereas the Bucs pass offense has been phenomenal. So I suspect this is going to be a Baker Mayfield game and a Chris Godwin game.
Yeah, and hopefully Mike Evans, if he's healthy, I think he will as well. It's the Monday night game. So no team allows a fewer yards per carry to opposing running backs than Baltimore, 2.9. Teams facing the Ravens are averaging just 15.7 running back carries per game. That's third fewest in the NFL. And to your point, there's three different guys there. It's actually been a committee prior to the emergence of Sean Tucker. Since week 3, no Tampa Bay running back has seen more than 40% of the team's running back rushes. And now you add Sean Tucker to the mix, who that genie's not going back into the bottle. And so is it a three-headed monster? Is it a two-headed monster? What I have said all this week, and I said this on our waiver wire show, I think this is actually great. In an ideal world, you're not starting any Buccaneers running back. You see how Monday night plays out. You see how Todd Bowles and the coaching staff deploys the running backs in Tampa Bay, and then you can sort of okay, now we know. Did Sean Tucker, overcome Rashad White? Is he, higher on the depth chart? Or is it that they go back to still just feeding Rashad White because, quote unquote, he was the guy? So I think hopefully, even though I don't think they'll have a lot of production, hopefully it'll be at least instructive in terms of who's playing the most snaps, who's out there the most, and who they want to use. So either way, ideally, I would not start any of them. Sadly, in the League of Assholes, I'm going to have to start Bucky Irving.
That's just how it goes.
Because you need a live body. Because he qualifies at running back.
Yes.
That's it.
He can touch the football.
He can touch the football.
You might get 3 points.
Exactly. It's just there's so little people on the. Yeah, exactly.
Our last running back here is Zach Moss. Jay only has 41% of the running back touches over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Chase Brown's looked really good.
Yeah, he did. He almost cost them the game, to be fair.
Yes, he has his moments.
But the fumble went out of bounds, then he broke the touchdown at the end. So, yeah, feel amazing about Zach Moss now against the Browns. The Bengals are 5.5-point favorites. I think the Bengals should be bigger than 5.5-point favorites, by the way. I think that's not big enough a gap between Joe Burrow and Deshaun Watson and their respective teams. But until something changes or Chase Brown gets hurt, I don't think you feel amazing about Zach Moss.
No, it doesn't. It just feels like it's trending that way. After he had that fumble, he did not touch the ball again. And Chase Brown gives him an explosiveness. The pro Zach Moss argument is just oh, well, he's solid. You know what I mean? But Chase Brown gives him an explosiveness. And honestly, given the struggles of that defense, that's what they need right now, is they need explosive playmakers in the offense. So Zach Moss is just somebody that until we see more of a consistent role there, I just don't think you can start with any confidence he makes the hate list.
This Sunday night, it's a showdown of two teams vying for position in a crowded group of AFC contenders. Catch Aaron Rodgers and the new-look Jets take on T.J. Watt and the Steelers in Pittsburgh.
And the same old Steelers.
Coverage starts at maybe not, maybe Russell Wilson.
Maybe Russ.
Coverage starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on NBC and Peacock. We're taking our first break.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.